Royal guards have been going viral nowadays. However, some videos are just frustrating, especially whenever Karens try to act rude and distract them from doing their job. Luckily, Karma works twice as hard as Karen and makes sure they get what they deserve for the stunt they pull. I don't know if this Karen is just ignorant or plain stupid as she approached the Royal Guard's horse while they were on duty. I think it's basic knowledge that no civilians are allowed to touch these animals while they're on their post, so I think Karen is the latter of the two.
She's got a backpack on her back, doesn't she? She's a security risk.
This group of Karens thought it was fine to distract a royal guard while on duty until they were proven wrong. This was after a group of ladies were trying to get a reaction from a royal guard standing on his post. They were doing all sorts of things to try and get him to react just to get him on their camera, even going to the extent of calling him random names just to get his attention. Luckily, the police stepped in and explained that the Royal Guard obviously was not enjoying the attention and that they needed to leave the facility.
Toby!
Right, ladies. Yeah, so these soldiers serve their country, alright? They take their job seriously. They are responsible for the protection of this facility. They are not an object of ridicule. I appreciate you having fun. He's not having fun. He's got a long day. There's a lot of hours he's got to do. It is tiring, exhausting. You take the piss out of him, alright? We do not appreciate that. I will ask you to leave the facility, alright?
Well, what can I say? They got what they deserve. Our next Karen looks like she doesn't understand the concept of consent and personal space as she approaches the next royal guard and touches him without permission. Luckily, the police were on the scene and stopped the lady just in time. Karen ended up apologizing after, but geez, where's their common sense? This next Karen takes dance challenges to the next level and decides to dance beside a royal guard on duty. At first, it looked like the guard would just stay put and let the lady do her dance, but after a while his patience grew thin and he forcefully stomped on the ground, startling Karen. The royal guard then turned and walked away while Karen giggled her way out of the spot. Have you ever thought about what would happen if you snuck up behind a Royal Guard's horse? Well, these Karens and Kens would have found out if not for the Royal Guard telling them not to enter from the other side of the horse box. Luckily, the horse was calm enough to not even care for these dumb tourists.
Don't go through there. Don't go through there. Go back.
Since we're talking about the royal horses, look at this Ken who grabbed onto the straps of this horse just to take a selfie. As expected, the royal guard was not amused and shouted at him, but Ken made sure to take his selfie before walking away.
Stand back!
This next Karen also received some shouting as she didn't move away from the royal guard's way. Karen even thought it was funny that she was almost shoved out of the way, not knowing how disrespectful it was to block the guard as he was walking. Just classic behavior, right? Another tourist Karen spotted. Look at this lady who just grabbed the royal guard's arm like they are besties taking a photo. Well, guess what? She can't do that. As a result, the guard quickly pulled away while giving Karen a stern look. Sadly, she didn't get the message and went ahead with the photo. When these groups of tourists flocked to the Royal Guard post, the police took it into his hands to let them know what they were doing was not permitted. I mean, it's fine to watch the guard while doing their job, but it's unacceptable to distract them while they're on duty to protect the royals. Looks like these tourists just don't know the proper protocol around royal guards. Just look at the crowd that's blocking the guard from passing through. I don't know if they did not hear the shouts or they just chose to ignore him on purpose. Well, either way, the royal guard ended up shoving people out of his way as he passed through. Here's another entry of dumb tourists that don't understand boundaries. These two boys took selfies with the royal guard in the background. Though that might be normal and nothing is wrong with it, what the tourists did next is pique Ken's attitude. They urged the guard to smile at the camera with them. People like this are extremely annoying, right? Well, the royal guard ignored them until the end, which was pretty savage. At this point, you should have known that maintaining proper conduct is important when taking pictures with royal guards, but some tourists are just clueless. Look at this teenager who started posing different gang signs while standing beside a royal guard during a photo op. If he thought the guard would just stand still as he disrespects him, well, he's wrong. The guard stomped his feet hard on the ground, startling the young man in the process. Here's another case of Ken not being aware of how to act around royal guards. Though it seems like this man was just walking aimlessly in the crowd of other tourists, what will happen next will surely teach him to always keep an eye open for any approaching royal guards. You see, royal guards will not change their path for you. They will simply push you away if you ever block them. In the case of Ken here, he was literally run over by the royal guards as they passed through.
Coming down, Derek. Mine.
Bye-bye!
Our next Karen is your typical blonde Karen. How so? Well, just like most of the Karens we saw, this lady thought that touching the royal guard while taking a photo was permitted. She ended up getting shouted at right in the face after the guard noticed she was touching him.
Do not touch the king's lifeguard!
This Karen is also pretty clueless about how dangerous it is to touch a horse without permission. Just like the others, she ended up getting a reprimand by the royal guard and embarrassed in front of other tourists.
Step back with wing lifeguard! Do not touch the ring!
Up next, this tourist positioned himself in front of two royal guards and started showcasing his dance moves, maybe expecting applause or something. Spoiler alert though, he did not get any. Instead, the guard shouted at him, telling him to go away. We have another rude and entitled Karen up in line. This one even threw her glove at the Royal Guard and dared to ask for it back. If the one recording found it funny having to watch the scene as Karen waited for the guard to move and get her glove back.
It's a standoff. Who's going to get the glove first?
A few moments later, security approached Karen and she explained what happened. The guy then told her how disrespectful she was for throwing her glove into the Royal Guard. In the end, Karen got her glove back and walked away with shame.
Just throw your glove over to the sun. Why would you do that? The army's here to protect the crown jewels. They're not here for the public to make fun of. Right? He's a soldier. He serves his country and he deserves to be treated with a little bit of respect. Throwing your gloves at him isn't going to work, is it really? Leave the guys alone, please, guys. Let's do this.
And there they go. That guy's following them.
We all get giddy whenever we arrive at a new place, but sometimes tourists forget basic manners just to take the perfect photo for the gram. But Royal Guards don't care, just like how these overly excited tourists got what they deserved after Royal Guards literally walked through them while they were doing their usual march.
Is that the guy who was out there?
Here's another classic example of knowing your place, especially whenever you're around Royal Guards, or else you'll be treated like this lady in the yellow dress. Based on the footage, everyone was advised to stay behind the ropes, and since she was standing in the way, and since we all know Royal Guards stop for no one, she was pushed rather strongly and almost took a stumble. If you thought there was an end to dumb Karens touching the royal horse's reins, well, here's another one. At first, the Royal Guard was just chilling on top of his horse when the tourists came in and took some pictures. But one certain Karen went too close and grabbed the horse's reins. You can hear the shout of a guard from afar as Karen first touched the horse, but she did not listen. So the Royal Guard riding the horse shouted at her again, startling her in the process. This last one might come off as more funny than annoying. As the Royal Guards were doing some routine drills outside Windsor Castle, a tourist came too close to the entrance gate as one of the guards was closing it. In doing that, the guard might have found the guy a threat and shouted at him to stay away. Due to his shock, the tourist automatically raised his hands into a salute, which is quite an uncommon response to being shouted at. Who knows, he might be a soldier himself.
Stand at work!